Welcome back to Blatantly Honest with Michaela Nichols. Today, I caught up with the beautiful and fabulous Tricia Campbell. She's a plus size supermodel and life coach. Despite her confidence, she opens up about how she used to struggle with her own body image and self esteem, and how it took her years to become the woman she is today. Tricia also talks a little bit about Black History Month and some of her incredible ancestry. It's an honor to have you on the show. Tricia, tell me, how did you start in your fashion career? Is that something you always wanted to do?
Wow, that I love that question. How did I start in my fashion career slash modeling, all of that?
Yeah.
So as a little girl, I saw my mom, she was such a socialite, like hosting parties, and she always dressed up in her heels and makeup and all this stuff. And at like 4, I would like go in her closet and like put on the heels and do my little model walk and everything. And I am originally from Jamaica, and I always wanted to be a fashion designer. And my parents were like, okay, you could be fashion designer, interior decorator, something with fashion fabrics and all that stuff. So fast forward, I get to high school. And the end of high school, my parents were like, you're going to New York, you are going to FIT, because that's the best school for fashion designers. So I was like, okay, yeah. At that time, my mom already moved to New York, so it was cool. And I was like, yeah, totally, I'm doing that. Yeah. So we moved to New York. I went to Fashion Institute of Technology on 7th Avenue, woo, 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 Garment District, and then enjoyed it, loved it a lot of sleepless nights for those of you who know about FIT. Yeah, you have to be there to really get it. But yeah, so then fast forward, I finished FIT with my bachelor's in fashion design. And Jamaican parents, they are all about that education and work in the field that you got your education in. So my mom was like, and my dad, you are going to be a fashion designer on 7th Avenue. You are going to be. No, don't tell us anything else. So I graduated FIT, then comes the job. I worked on 7th Avenue for maybe 2 years. And my last job that I worked at, working for different designers, they would always ask me, Tricia, can you throw something on? Can you model for us? One of the models in the show up, the buyer is coming and we need to show something. And I'm always like, yeah, for sure, I'll do that, because as a child, back in Jamaica, which I forgot to put into this into what I was saying earlier, I entered Miss Jamaica and at 13 years old, and I made it to like the preliminaries and everything, but I was too young because they were like, Trisha, we need to see your paperwork. I was only 13, you have to be 18 if you
Whoa.
go to Miss Universe. So all of that. And then that was the first time I got fat shamed also. That's a whole other topic right there. My first ever time being, oh, you're not good enough. Your face is beautiful, but you got to lose your hips, lose your tummy, all of that. So I went through that scenario, and then fast forward, I'm in New York modeling, part-time, and designing also, but I was a designer full-time. So I didn't know anything about plus size modeling, that you could actually make it a career and have a life and be professional and be on the runways all over the world and be in print and all this good stuff. So one day I met one of the models, one of the fit models or one of the showroom models that was coming into my job. And I said, listen, can I ask you guys a question? Like, how do you guys manage this? Like, do you have an agency? And they were so nice. They were like, yeah, there's this, that, and that agency. Maybe you should call them up, because I told them I'm here, like they're asking me to do this stuff. And one day I actually saw one of the models' paychecks. And I was like, what? Is this what you're making? Like to come here for an hour and throw stuff on and just like look pretty and do all this stuff? And she was like, yeah, so you'll go find an agency. And I kind of did on my lunch break. Because I was in the garment industry already, I would just run out and try to go to some of the agencies. And I got a lot of doors closing in my face, a lot of people saying, oh no, we have a girl like you, you're too short, this, that. And then I went to two particular agencies, and when the woman of that particular agency saw me, she was like, dollar signs. She was like, come here. You have to be like the industry 40 double D and the size 60. Like, I'm sending you out right now. And that's how I knew that there's a market and you could really be a professional paid plus size model.
Wow. That's incredible. And, going back to, I think it's fantastic that there are plus size models because that is like actual women. Like, as someone who grew up like in the industry and always being told, like, even with my hips, like, and I didn't think like I had big hips, but, they were like, Michaela, your hips are 37 inches. They need to be 34. I'm like, I'm sorry, my body can't do that. Like, it's not happening. Like,
Right.
I just can't. And like, that's the thing about, and going back to like body shaming, people don't understand what that does to you, like psychologically, and like how that makes you feel. You're like, this is me. I have a beautiful face. I have a big personality. This is me. Love me or hate me, but like, this is me. Take it or leave it. And it's just sad because people are like, well, if it doesn't fit this size and this, and they're just like, you're not good enough. So, with your experience with that, I mean, what are your thoughts on the standard that they set forth? Because I remember plus size when it first came out, I was like, thank God they're doing this now because this should have been done forever ago. I mean, do you think the movement within the plus size industry is growing? Or do you think that, some, like you said, we already have a girl that looks like that or this? Do you think it's growing or do you think it's like facade?
It is definitely growing. It has, I mean, because of, women like Emmy. She was the first supermodel that was on E Entertainment. I mean, I love Emmy. And then, of course, fast forward now, we have Ashley Graham, who is just a household name like all over the world. She's known. Even my uncle, who doesn't really, he doesn't really know about fashion, but Christmas, he was like, oh yeah, you need to be the next Ashley Graham. I was like, Uncle Oliver, you know about Ashley Graham? Like, everybody knows about her. And they knew her first and foremost for being a plus size model. So she really has really put plus size models in a certain category for us to be taken seriously, that, we are brands by ourselves, because, she have done so much. And I think with the influencers also, everything is intertwining. And now with, that we're in this new digital era, the sky's the limit. There's so many different brands now that want inclusivity, because if you're a brand, it doesn't matter if you're a high-end couturier or a low-end, everybody wants fashion. Everybody wants to look beautiful, feel chic, feel hip at every price point. So, if you are a brand out there and you're not representing, you have to definitely do that. Totally. So it's growing, definitely getting, it's one of the best times to be a plus size model right now, curvy woman, whatever they want to call us, full figure, fat. I love the word fat, by the way. Fat. Yes, I am fat and I'm loving it.
I love that you just owned that word because like I feel like that word has such a taboo to it and you just
Yeah.
like absolutely shut it down and you're like, ah, nope. But that's incredible. Was your relationship with that word always as like how it is now?
No, I went through a lot of transformation, a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring to really tap into my inner beauty. And as I mentioned before, at 13 years old, when you're most impressionable, I got fat shamed, and that stayed with me even when I was in New York and I was modeling. And that's when it really triggered and came out when I um, was on set sometimes and I would see like I'm the only plus size model. Oh my God. And there's like, straight size models all around. And I'm like, why am I here? Am I good enough? So I had to really get coaching and mentoring to really help me to know that no, you are enough. You're uniquely and wonderfully made. You're here for a purpose. There is no reason for you to have doubt and feel like you're not enough because of somebody's words back in the day.
Wow. That's so powerful. It's incredible that you're so strong that way because I'm not. Like I was not, I still struggle with it because I mean, I was both anorexic and bulimic. And for what? To fit a size that, my body is not comfortable at that weight. My body is not I don't feel good. I don't feel like myself. And it's so, not like it's damning, but it is because like
Mhm.
I put my body through so much to fit someone else's standard of beauty instead of following my inner voice saying like you are enough. You know, you look this way, this is you, God made you this way, just own it and love it and you're not supposed to change for like anyone. And I think so many young girls, like you said, at 13, you know, I was 14, right? We're so impressionable and we take those words to heart because we don't have that sense of identity, of our purpose, of where we fit in. I mean, when you were told, you know, when you were being body shamed at 13 years old, like what went through your head? I mean, did you ever feel like, oh my gosh, like I can't eat anymore? Like, where did that take you mentally?
It took me down a serious bad rabbit hole. Let me add to this to the story. So when I'm a very competitive person, and I'm of course I'm 13 years old. I didn't even know that I couldn't really be in the competition because I was too young. So then, you know, what the judges told me, okay, you're gonna have to, one of the coordinators, sorry, of the contest said, you're gonna have to by the finals, you have to lose your tummy, try to lose your hips, you know, your face is great. And being the competitive person that I am, I didn't even tell my parents because I didn't want my parents to be like, okay, well, you're not going to be in it. Like, no, don't. So I get home and I'm like, listen, whatever they want, I am going to do it. You know, if they need me to be a size one, I'm going to be a size one by the next month. Ridiculous. So I start eating, seriously, Michaela, I start eating only fruits and water, nothing else. For the I fainted, I almost died. Okay, like my high school friends were like, what are you doing? Like we would meet, you know, for lunch and everything in the yard. And every in Jamaica, we have those big box, we call it box lunches, where you have rice and chicken and all this good stuff.
Oh,
And I would not eat that. I would just have my little fruits and water like twice a day, and that was it.
oh
And
my
I got
God.
so sick, you know. And then when I did all of this, I felt crazy going in this competition, but I'm 13 years old. I'm not thinking. And then they were like, bring in your paperwork. But you were like, you're too young. You can't even be in this contest. So I went through all of that for nothing, pretty much. But then, you know, designers saw me and I kind of started modeling a little bit locally. So that really started me on my model journey too. But it was just so ridiculous. I felt, and I'm telling you, that feeling stuck with me until I was like in my 20s, 25, 26, you know, until I learned better.
Wow. Ugh. It's horrible that it stuck with you that long. I mean, for me, it's stuck with me still. Like I'm 23 and I still feel that way. And it's like, you know, it makes you question. You're like we were talking about Girl Scout cookies. Like, do I eat that? And I'm just like, hell yeah, I'm gonna eat it now. Like at least I have a healthy relationship with food now because I used to not. Like I did the whole like, you know, you said fruits. I used to drink it was a lemon, it was water with lemon, maple syrup, and cayenne pepper. And like that was it, like for 3 days. Like that's all I would have. And maybe like some celery. And I'm like, honest to God, like I should have died. Like I was hospitalized for my eating disorder. And I just it breaks my heart that women, and especially on social media, you know, we're always comparing ourselves to others, whether we admit it or not. Like everyone's like, no, I don't compare. I'm like, no, you do. And here's why. Because social media is teaching us to do that. And it's like, what is the perfect person? So, what advice do you have for women who think like social media is the new Bible? Like they have to be like their favorite influencer. How do you want to either A, give advice to them or B, like tell them maybe something that they can do in place of bad habits?
So, wow, this is why I love like all these different platforms because I get to share my program that I have called Confidence Queens, which it is a group of women. Well, it's in my Facebook group, of course, and it's a program that I actually coach, one-on-one coaching with fellow models, beauty queens, just different women from all walks of life, pretty much. And I really coach them and encourage them and let them know that No, you number one, you need to not compare yourself because again, tapping back into you're uniquely made, you have your dimples, you have it for a reason. You maybe have a gap in your tooth. That's you. You maybe have slanty eyes, a big forehead, or a big butt, flat tummy. I'm a tummy girl, so I always embrace that, and it took a while, but as I said, that's number one. You can't compare yourself. And number two, you have to know your true authentic self and your true authentic why, right? And you cannot, if you're not there yet, you have to just visualize it. How is she showing up? That new person who if there's something on you that you want to change, and I do believe in plastic surgery. If you want to change stuff, I'm not for that. But just know that even if you have plastic surgery, if your insides and your mind state set is still saying, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm still in doubt, no matter how much plastic surgery you have, you're just never going to feel great.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just everybody's a queen. I'm like, you're a queen, so walk in it.
That's awesome. And I think that's something that, you talk about confidence and you talk about women. It's like, am I doing this for me? Am I doing this for someone else? So do you find that a lot of the women that you coach and work with, is it more like, I'm lacking self-esteem because of someone, or is it because of myself?
It's normally because of someone or some trauma that they have been through in the past. And it's so funny how, people who can relate to you come to you for help, because my first traumatic experience, body shaming experience, was when I was 13, of course, with getting fat shamed. And a lot of women, they get down on themselves. Maybe they are widowed. I have some women like that who are widowed, some women also who've been through like a traumatic breakup or divorce, and they feel their confidence is like, so tanked after that. They don't know which way to go, which way to turn. They don't even want to look at themselves in the mirror anymore. They're starving themselves, of course, and then they probably want to do the plastic surgery, but without doing the mental and the inner work healing. It's like it doesn't even serve any purpose if you do that.
Definitely. No, you're right. It doesn't serve any purpose if you can't reflect on the inside, work on the inside, and kind of hammer out those things where, it's just you have to address it in your head first. You have to address it as a person first, and then make those changes, like you said. So, what changes have you made in your own personal life to become a confidence queen?
Wow, I remember even being a plus size model, and people would ask me, "Oh, what do you do for work?" And I wouldn't even say plus size model. I was like, "Oh, I'm a designer." So it took a long time to really reach have this confidence that I have now. So number one, what I did, I hired a coach. And a mentor. I have had several great mentors in my life who has really spoke into my life, and I really had to do the work because they could tell you, yeah, Tricia, you have to do this, you have to implement these tools. So certain things I've set into my daily life, which are affirmations, because I'm a procrastinator by heart. And if I don't do certain if I don't say certain affirmations, things get lost, it goes over my head. So that's number one. And then number two, along with that, I do a lot of visualizations too. Like, just look at the end, like your end part of your dream, not like the beginning, not the middle, just the end. Say you want to, travel the world and you want to go to Dubai or something. Just picture yourself like you're on the plane, you're getting picked up from the airport, you're in a fancy hotel, you're there already. Like you could feel the sheets, you could smell the food, all that great stuff. So I had to learn how to do that too, because I used to be in the what if, that's not gonna happen, like changing my negative mindset into a positive mindset. So I did that too. And also the comparison thing, I had to learn to stop comparing myself. I can't emphasize this enough. This was one of the biggest hurdles I had to overcome. And now, as you said, with the digital era, it's hard to not go back there. So to not do that, I really embrace like what I'm about, Like I love colors and I love like accessories and crazy hair and all this stuff. So I try to really always bring that to wherever I'm at. Like always, whether it's some pretty nail polish, a bright lipstick, just something that that always reminds me who my authentic self is.
That's so well said. And it seems like you are just so authentically you and you're not afraid of like anything. You're like, I'm wearing a flower crown and this is my favorite. Like, I love it. Like that is the vibe I aspire to be, is like, this is it. Like, I look fabulous and you do. And you just radiate confidence. And I think women, need to look up to people like you. Obviously, a bunch are already, so I'm not calling you out. But the women that are maybe like, oh, like I wish I could be like her. Like you can be like her and you can own it. And I think that's something we all need to be reminded of, because we feel like, oh, like I could never be that way and I could never be that confidence, but wrong, because you totally can. And
Yes,
people should take
Mhm.
your class for sure, because you've just done so much. I mean, you've had such a successful career. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what has been the highlight? I know that's a really hard question and I hate answering that myself,
Yeah.
but what has been the highlight, or a few, of your career?
So one of my highlight of my career, because I am an all-arounder model, so I'm a fit model, print model, runway model. It's when I get to work with a brand or a designer who makes me do all three things. So one of my top jobs that I loved doing was working with Jessica Simpson and her mom. When they started their plus size line, I was their plus size fit model. So all the sample sizes were made on me as a plus size model. And then I would be their runway model for like all their marketing events and all of that. And then I would do their print work too for their hand tags, print ads, all of that. So it was great. And my favorite thing to model is swimsuits, because I'm an island girl. I love the beach. I love showing skin and just being free in my fabulous swimsuits. Oh yeah, I have a swimwear line, by the way, called Glamour Swimwear for plus size women. Wow, that's a whole story to itself right there. Oh my God, how I started that line.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
talk about
So,
it for sure.
huh?
I'd love to hear about it. It sounds
So
fantastic.
I was on a photo shoot actually in Guadeloupe on the French island. And I was the only plus size model. And the stylist came, and I was like, oh my God, bonjour, bonjour. I don't have a swimsuit for you. I was like, what? We have a photo shoot like in tomorrow. And she's like, ooh, ooh, ooh la la, we can't find anything. So I said, okay, we're on Guadeloupe. There gotta be a boutique, a store, something here that has plus size. I will pay for it. You guys could even reimburse me, because I'm not gonna be here and not be in this photo shoot. So we go shopping in Guadeloupe on the French island. When I tell you there was like nothing we found, whatever we found, sometimes it will be like those cheap, thin fabrics. The colors are awful, ugly, like really terrible designs. Then we found this great boutique that carries like European swimsuits. And then it was like on the other spectrum. It was great designs, but of course, too small and really expensive. But I found something to fit me and I rocked out that photo shoot, like rocked it out. And I made up my mind right there on set. I was like, this is ridiculous. I know a lot of women all over the world, curvy women, are going through the same thing where they can't find anything to wear to the beach that's a good price, colorful, beautiful, well designed. And what, because I'm an active swimmer and when I'm at the beach I love to dance, I love to move my body. My swimsuits are very supportive, so they're all double fabrics. It's not going to make you hot, it just like makes you feel supported, like you're wearing like miracle suit and stuff like that, Spanx. So yeah, because I had friends who we would wear shapewear under our swimsuits because the swimsuits were too thin. So you would see everything when you get out the water. So
Oh,
I just did my swimsuits like that. So that's glamourswimwear.com.
glamour.com. That's fantastic. And what a great story. I mean, you're right. Like, if there's not that market, you're like, I'm gonna feel that need. I'm gonna make women feel confident in clothes that they should be wearing and swimsuits that they're excited about wearing. And I think that just, I don't know, you've clearly, your design experience, your career experience, like your swimwear, I think it's fantastic. And now you're a coach.
Yeah.
It's empowering to see, because I think sometimes women can like feel lost, and clearly you are not lost. You have found your purpose and your voice, and more importantly, you want to help others. And I respect that so much about you. But is there anything?
Oh,
Go ahead,
I
go.
I forgot before the swimsuit whole thing came in, I was gonna tell you about what my second biggest job is. And of course, being Oprah Winfrey's stand-in. I'm also her stand-in model for for her magazine covers. So that was like one of the top jobs I've done. And I always wanted to work with her. And when that door opened up, which I went for that job like 4 years in a row, on the fourth year I got it. So, and I've been doing her shoots for the past like 8 years. So I've worked with her and Miss Gail and all the editors and all the, the top photographer in the world, Mr. Ruben Avendar. I mean, he is one of the best photographers in the world. Yeah. So that was like my top thing. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yes, God.
Oh my God, what a rush. I mean, to go from, and you flash back to like 13 when you're struggling with your body image. You move to New York. You obviously, New York can speak for itself, if you know, you know. And then,
Right.
right, you're working on 7th Ave, and you literally, you start modeling, you have your design experience, and now you have done like Jessica Simpson and Oprah. It's so empowering to see, because people that might be afraid to start modeling or might be afraid to put themselves out there, like, look at you, look at what you've done. And it speaks volumes. So I think it's absolutely incredible.
You just don't know the power that you have within inside of you. Sometimes people see more of your potential than you even see in yourself, because now that I really recollect, when I was there in on 7th Avenue as a designer at my desk, there was something that the CEO saw in me, something the salespeople saw in me, and they would always come for me. That would always like, oh, Tricia, the model is not here, so they saw something. I don't know if it's how I carried myself, how I looked. They just say, okay, she has that model quality, like, and sometimes you can't be like a diva and be like, oh no, da, da, da. You got to try new things, especially now. You got to put yourself out there. It's like the best time right now because of, all the platforms out there. Just go for it. Whatever your dreams are, just do it.
Definitely. Well said. And yeah, you have to go after those dreams, because you never know unless you try. And I think that's something that people need to get better at. I need to get better at. It's like, just try. What are you going to lose, right? You lose more if you don't, right? You miss 100%
So
of
true.
the time. So February is both Eating Disorder Awareness Month and Black History Month. What are your thoughts on, both sharing the same month? Obviously, Black History Month is just so important. Why don't you talk a little bit about that for a moment?
Wow. So Black History Month really means a lot to me. Obviously, hello, I am Black or mixed up. My mom is part Cuban, part white. She's German, but she looks like a Puerto Rican lady. That's how she physically looks. But my dad is a Black man, and he is one of the descendants of Marcus Garvey. My great aunt is Marcus Garvey's sister. And I didn't know this until later on in my life. And, when everybody's like, you need to know who Marcus Garvey is. And Marcus Garvey was one of the first, Caribbean leaders who had like his own ship. And he was all about entrepreneurship and all about, you could do it on your own. You need to, you don't really need a government, just like use your brains. He was really a true freedom fighter in that way. So sometimes I always wonder, oh, where do I get my entrepreneurship skills from? And that's where I got it from Marcus Garvey. So there's so many different leaders that you can learn about and all that stuff. So I encourage you guys to go find out more about like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, all these different leaders that we have had. Yes.
That's incredible. What a piece of history. And I'm sure just like knowing that, it just is so empowering, because you're like, I'm like that today, and I'm empowering others, and I'm an entrepreneur. And it's just, what a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think our listeners are gonna be like, oh my God, no way, that's so cool. I'm like,
You're welcome.
it's pretty cool. But it's just incredible. And your stories and everything that you've done and defying standards and everything is just so empowering. So thank you, Tricia, so much for being
Thanks
on.
for having me. Be bold, be you, be blatantly honest.